Welcome to the Real Life Moms podcast. It is time to take a break from all our to-dos and carve out some time to focus on ourselves. I'm Lisa Foster, your host, and today I'm here with Yvonne Trost. She is a fellow mom, a happiness coach, and she is also the co-founder of Limitless You, where she empowers others to break free from their limiting beliefs and embrace their true calling. And today she's going to help us guide through surviving to thriving. We are looking to thrive in our lives today, so no pressure, Yvonne, but thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I am excited to talk to you because you do so many cool things. As we were talking
Thank
about
you.
before we jumped on, I was like, you do so many cool things. You kind of have this unique lens that I think you look at people with. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about this approach because you kind of blend ancient wisdom, a little bit of quantum physics, neuroscience. So tell us a little bit more about this approach that you use.
Yeah, sure. So, gosh, there's so much to talk about. When I first started learning to take care of myself, right? Like that's what Lisa wants you to do, and that's what I want you to do. Quite often, as moms, we feel that it's selfish. We don't have time. We got to take care of the kids. We got to take care of the partner. We got to take care of the house. Some of us have to work outside of the house. And I used to do that all the time. And I am a recovering perfectionist and control freak, like very OCD used to be. And it took a really terrible divorce for the universe to wake me up. Like, I couldn't answer this question that you've asked me. I am going to get to it. I couldn't have even begun to answer it. I just want to give people that understanding, that awareness. Like, I was in corporate America, I was a ladder climber, it was all about making money. I had a husband at the time, I had two young children, and it was go, 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 go. And it wasn't until my world came crashing down and my marriage became unsafe for me and my children that I had the courage to step outside of it. And it wasn't easy, and I'm so thankful for my friends. So if you can relate, lean on your friends. Don't think that you're a burden. I told one of my friends, I'm like, "Oh, I didn't want to bother you. You have your own family." She's like, "Are you kidding me? I know you would have done that for me, right?" So lean on your friends. But reason I tell you that is because my friend introduced me to yoga, and she's like, "Come to yoga with me." And I was a spinner and a runner and every other kind of like adrenaline sport. I'm like, I don't like yoga. That's boring. There are no endorphins. And I went, and it was the most amazing thing that I've ever done. It was a hot power vinyasa. So it was perfect for kind of my personality type. And that's where I started to discover the ancient wisdom, not from books, but through experience. I can't explain it, but what happens on, like, actually can, but what happens on your mat, like, comes with you off your mat. You learn to be present. You learn to breathe. Quite often, we're not breathing properly. And that's the primary problem with most folks is we
Mhm.
just aren't breathing effectively. You learn to push your edge and then you grow a little. And then you push your edge and then you grow a little. And so I was in this world of corporate America and people thought yoga, meditation, like that wasn't cool back then, right? This is like 10 years ago. It was still, now it's really cool, but back then it wasn't so much still. And I just like, oh my gosh, something's changing inside of me. And I just kept going with it. And so then I started doing a lot of yoga and then I became a yoga teacher. I took yoga teacher training. But then through that, I found meditation. And then through meditation, I found stillness. And then I was drawn to quantum physics and manifesting. And then through that is where I've developed, like, I've changed my whole life in less than 2 years, quite radically, but I wanted to understand how it worked. I believe that there's a golden thread through almost everything of truth. If I were to talk to you, you might resonate with my messages of yoga. With a lot of my friends, they don't even get it. They want data, they want science. And so, what I learned, and here's the answer to your question finally, is that they're not that different. They're not that different. They go about different ways, they use different language, but there's a golden thread of truth that runs through so many things, and you will recognize it. You're like, oh, that sounds very similar to this thing. And so yoga means union. And so I believe in union of people. I believe that's why we're here. I believe in connection. We're all connected anyway, whether you believe it or not. Modern science has proven that. There's no space between, it's all energy. But we have to find ways to connect to people. And if we can get rid of judgment, right? If we can get rid of fear, then we're going to be able to connect. And so that's why I combine both ancient wisdom, modern science. I believe there's golden thread, there's truth. I need to connect to people, and different people connect to different things. And then once they connect to one thing and then they understand all the things, their mind opens, and then that's where the freedom comes. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Totally, totally. And it's funny because I remember kind of wanting to learn more about finances. Like that was my goal. Finances. Oh, I need to do finances. But I also love things like manifestation and things like that. So it's funny. I started reading like manifestation books and all those things. I was really into like the Bob Proctors and all that
Love
stuff,
him.
right? Love him, right? But then I started reading like things like what is it, Rich Man, Poor Man, like all
Yeah.
those books that business, my husband in business reads. And I just sat there and I go, do they not know they're saying the same thing? It's the exact same thing. I know somebody might say manifest, that feels like so woo-woo,
Woo woo,
but
right?
it's all like they are using the same words in both books. And it's so true. There's nothing different here. And it just hit me one day going, wow, this is all the same.
It
We're
is. And
just
it's been around forever.
yeah. And we're just hitting it from different perspectives. It depends on where you're at to have to learn the material. If you have to learn
Absolutely.
it from that science base, then start there. But you're going to end up at the other place anyway, right? Like it all comes together.
Yeah. And what I'd say, if you haven't explored either or any, don't take my word for it. Don't take Lisa's word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Listen and then experiment in your life and what works. That's why there's so many different ways to go about the same thing. There's so many different people out there that have similar messages, but completely different methods to help people reach whatever it is they're trying to reach. Like humans are unique. And if somebody says, oh, well, this is the only way, I
Mhm.
wouldn't work with them, right? Because it's not the only way. So, what's going to work is the thing that you like.
Mhm.
What's going to work is the thing that you'll do. What's going to work is the thing that you're interested in, right? And so, it's finding somebody, if you, or like whether you're reading or listening or working with a coach, whatever it is, like finding somebody that is asking about you and what it is that you want or you need or you're experiencing, and then can give you options tailored to the unique you that you are.
I love that. I love that. Now, we are talking today a little bit about thriving, I like to say. Many of us are in this survival mode where we are literally putting out, I feel like mini fires every hour, every 5 minutes, whatever it is. So, how do we break that cycle of this survival phase and just be able to thrive a bit more?
I mean, it's so funny how the universe works. We were just at dinner and this woman had this tiny little baby. I'm like, oh, I wish I knew what I know now when my boys were that little. So I have a 17-year-old and an almost 14-year-old. And I definitely was surviving when they were little. So if you're listening and you're like, I don't know what she's talking about, I have no time to read, I have no time for anything. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the sleep deprivation. And I remember like just giving more and more and more and more and emptying my cup and then like being resentful when nobody was helping me fill it back up. And it just drained me further. So, what you have to know is it's not your fault. You've probably seen, if you haven't, I'll tell you now, it's proven by science that by the time you're 35, 95% of what you say, do, and think, your whole personality really is driven by your subconscious mind. It's the cerebellum back here. And your thinking mind, your conscious mind, your neocortex is only like 5% in charge for the most part. So when you're like, well, I know I shouldn't yell, but I can't help myself. I know I shouldn't like run myself ragged, but I can't help myself. It's because your subconscious mind is running the show. And your subconscious mind doesn't care if you're thriving or surviving, if you're happy or if you're sad. All it cares is if you're alive. We were built to stay alive. And so our mind gets programmed like, okay, what do I need to do to stay alive? And most of what you're programmed with was done before you were 10 years old. We're born perfect, love light, only afraid of falling in loud noises. And then the world happens to us. We're judged, we're compared, we're measured, and we're not really, except for maybe in kindergarten where we wrote a paper about what we want to be when we grow up.
Mhm.
Like after that, that didn't matter as much. It was
Yeah.
cute for a little bit and then forget it. So, first, if you feel like you're surviving and not thriving, know that it's not your fault. Second, know that there's nothing wrong with you. That's how you were built. How you free yourself is understanding why you feel like you are in fight or flight. And quite often, it's based upon limiting beliefs that were planted when you were young. So, there's a real, if you're like, I don't know what she's talking about, if you want to go to my website, unlock, unlock Limitless You, because you all are limitless,
Mhm.
unlocklimitlessyou.com and go to the resources tab. There's all sorts of great tools. One of them is a self-love quiz. And even though I was running myself ragged, I still thought I loved myself. I still thought I had confidence, but I learned I didn't. I did not have, some people have big T trauma, some people have little T trauma. I got grounded if I didn't get straight A's. My mom and dad didn't come to my ball games. I got compared to my girlfriend, and that was about it. But that formed in my little brain like this, I need to be perfect. I need to take care of everybody else in order to feel secure. So, how do you stop? How do you break the habit? How do you move to thriving? It starts, as cliche as it sounds, with self love. So, go take the quiz. It takes 3 minutes. There's only 12 questions. And then you're going to get insight into your way of being. Because quite often we do things because we feel like we need this external validation. Like Lisa, have you ever like ran yourself ragged because you're like, I have to do it for the kids. I have to do it
Oh,
for my husband.
yeah. All the time. Yeah. I mean, every day I'm sure I've done that where, and then even the other day, I think I stopped and I said, like, do they even care? Like here I am feeling guilty to get this one thing done or to do this. And honestly, I don't think they would care either way, to be honest.
Even if they did, let's just play devil's advocate.
Maybe
Even
they
if
do.
they did, let me ask you this. Do you think that you will be of better service to them and be able to love them more fully if you're fully rested, full of self-love and your most creative best self, or if you're like completely run ragged?
Well, choice A, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
right.
mean,
So
rested.
stop yourself, right? Like it's so ironic. The things that we are doing and why we're actually doing the opposite. So on my website, there's this really fun little thing called the limiting belief lie detector.
Ooh, I saw that and I'm dying to know more about it. So I'm glad you're hitting on that. Yes.
So know this, your subconscious mind believes the thing that you're doing that you don't want to do, like running yourself ragged, is actually a solution. So the problem you have with your conscious mind, your subconscious mind thinks is a solution to something it perceives is worse. It perceives something worse would happen if you didn't. Going back to this whole survival thing. So I use hypnosis. There's other ways that you can use it. There's deep guided meditation. But what we do is we get to the root of it. We go back. I tell people I'm like a subconscious safari guide. So we go and we figure out why it is that you do what you do. What is that limiting belief? What does your subconscious mind think? So for me, I ran myself ragged because I felt like I wouldn't be good enough. I wouldn't be accepted. I wouldn't be loved if I didn't do all that. You might not consciously think that, but again, it's survival mode. So your brain says, oh my God, if I'm not accepted, if I'm not loved, if I'm not enough, I'll get kicked out of the tribe. Because our neocortex has only been around for a little bit the way that it is now, right? As human beings. So, Lisa, if you were in a tribe, let's go back thousands of years, if you were in a tribe and you weren't doing your job, what do you think the tribe would do?
I would be banished. I would have to like move somewhere else, live alone, or just, yeah,
Yeah.
be shunned.
And if you were shunned and living alone, what would happen to you back then?
Die. You would die
Yeah.
because there weren't no
So
resources.
it's so wild, guys. It's so wild. But this is why the science part is fascinating. Our brain thinks I have to survive and I'm going to die if I don't make everybody else happy. Here's the hack. You're not going to make them happy anyway, as happy as you could if you weren't your happiest self. Unfortunately, in our society, like I always say, like, I don't know, I might like I was a stay-at-home mom with my first son for like a year before my ex-husband kept losing his job and then I had to go back to work. But number one, if you're a stay-at-home mom, it's harder than going to the office. Trust me. People
Totally.
that don't stay at home, they're like, oh, I'm like, I wasn't at home eating bonbons. I was like sleep deprived and doing all the stuff, right? But I mention that because you are not actually being your best self when you run yourself ragged. So the limiting belief lie detector helps you realize like the thing that you're doing or not doing is actually costing you what you want versus preventing what you don't want. It's actually causing what you don't want. But what I want to press on is be careful who you surround yourself with and what energy is there. Because unfortunately, in our society, like everybody's wearing these, it's like who's got the worst survival story. It's like competition for who's the most miserable or who's got it the worst. Don't feed into that energy and try and inspire other people to change their energy if you're around them. And if you can't inspire them, you can't change them, but you can try to inspire them by who you are being. Change who you're around because you don't get what you want, you get what you're being. That's part of the trick of quantum physics and manifesting. You get what you're being, you get what you're feeling. So when I went through my transformation, my first one, when I switched from a corporate career of 25 years to like just jump and go out into this ocean of possibility to like do all the cool things that I'm doing now, I had to let go of the fear of the unknown. And I think a lot of us struggle with that because we're in like this doomsday, risk averse environment. And God bless my parents. They didn't grow up with hardly anything. And so they just wanted the best for me. So that's why I got grounded if I didn't get 3 days. That's why they pushed me into finance and business because they thought that was a safe career. So I always was afraid I couldn't do something else. I couldn't, I mean, like, if you would have told me I get to be a happiness coach and hypnotherapist, I would have been like, are you crazy? Like, that's my dream, but I don't think I could do that. But I am because I learned to let go of the fear of the unknown. I don't know if I'll get this right, but look up Virginia Satir, Satir. She says people prefer the misery of certainty over the misery of uncertainty. So you rather be miserable because at least you know what you got, right? But what I'm here to tell you is you can create in the unknown. You can't, you get to be stuck if you just stay in the unknown. In the unknown, that's where possibility lies. So to start shift from survival to thriving, like get out of the stale pond and jump into the ocean. At least dip your toe in, start to move, take a small step each day, and know like whether you work with me and my partner at Limitless You, or you work somewhere else with other people, or you like we were just talking about before we started this podcast. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love Wayne Dyer. Go, there's so many inspirational people that can help get you started for free. You can like listen to it while you're folding laundry or
Mm-hmm.
walking the kids or the dogs or the whatever. Just start to get curious about how your mind, body, spirit works. And then just like I said, test it. Don't take my word for it. Test it. You're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I'm eating it all up because I believe in all of that. As we talked about, I'm a Joe Dispenza fan as well. And that whole work is in getting you to be in the unknown and explore those possibilities out there. And that was really hard for me, like the unknown, because you get very fearful, right?
Yeah.
I watched this documentary about life just the other night with my husband. We just loved it. And there was this like older man, 95, 99 even, like he was older, and he was just like, life, it's all around us. You know how your heart beats, you breathe, you wake up, you go to bed, your body knows how to do that. It wakes up in the morning, it knows how to do that. You're not in charge of that. You don't know, right? So why are we not trusting life? And it just seems so easy. It's like, why am I not trusting life? Life is everywhere, right? So why do
Yeah.
I have to know everything? Things are happening around us all the time. And it's this beautiful synchronicity between everything and it flows.
Yeah.
And nobody has to know how that's being done, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
We
just,
think we're above nature, and actually we're a part of it. There's oh my gosh, music is another wonderful thing. One of she's not popular, but I found her, or maybe she's popular other places. But her name's Alexia Chellun, Chelun, and when you listen to music that has certain refrains, like there's a song that you're gonna love, Lisa, because it's called The River, and she talks about flowing like the river, not hanging on to any rocks or reeds, just flowing naturally, basically where she's supposed to go. You've
mhm.
heard Deepak Chopra and other greats, like And a flower effortlessly blooms,
Yeah.
right? We forget we're a part of nature, but there's actually a study now. One of my friends, she's studying biomimicry, and they're starting to try and study nature to figure out like how might we get back to that, make things better. So I love what you're saying. Like we should be inspired by nature
Yeah.
and learn to surrender and trust,
Mhm.
right? Like don't if you're like I used to be, you're not in control anyway. And it's
Mhm.
just sucking all your energy. So meditate, be still, and learn to like just be curious and compassionate.
And don't overcomplicate it. I think it could be simple, right? It doesn't have to be this big complex thing. So, yeah, I love that. I do have a question though. I feel like I've done a lot of this work, and I think some of the listeners may have dabbled a little bit or are ready to try, to kind of just take that step out there. But I find there are some blocks, right? So you kind of go with this momentum and you're feeling like, great, I feel great, I'm trusting, and then something happens, and all of a sudden you get sucked right back in to some of those old beliefs, old habits, old things, even when you've kind of worked through them. So how do you keep that momentum continually to grow and not you just torn back when maybe just a little something?
Yeah. So I'm so glad you asked that. First, I'd say don't say or think anything you don't want to be true. If you say there's always blocks, then your subconscious mind thinks there's always blocks.
Mm,
If you say, and this goes, guys, this isn't just positive thinking and like this is neuroscience. Your brain can only understand your subconscious mind, what you say to it and the pictures you give it. So catch yourself. Like sometimes I'll say something and I will stop and correct myself, and I have compassion. I'm not judging myself. It's just normal. So first, that's the first thing. You probably also heard like Tony Robbins, I don't know who said it first, but things happen for you, not to you. Sometimes that's hard to feel. Like especially like I'm like, why is this divorce happening for me when 10 years ago? It was pretty bad. Like I got ADT, not because I live in a bad neighborhood, but I got a security system because of my ex-husband. So I'm not just like saying, oh yeah, my life's great, right? We all have real stuff. What you can do, so you everybody knows Einstein's E equals MC squared, right? So I've changed it a little bit. The energy you want to keep, to your point, Lisa, like how do you keep it? Is mindful thinking, breathe, slow down. That's why yoga helps a lot. Raise to the power of compassion and curiosity. So here's a little life hack. Your brain, my subconscious brain, and everybody else's is like the age of like a 6 or 7 year old. So if something's upsetting you or somebody is upsetting you start with the power of compassion and you look at them like they're a little child, maybe even your child, right? That's the interrupter. And then the second C is curiosity. So when those what you called blocks happen, I call opportunities. So I didn't like to feel those yucky things, right? So I would drink a lot of wine, I'd binge watch Netflix, go out with my girlfriends, whatever. But I would you try and avoid those feelings. And what yoga has taught me to do is sit with them and get curious because what it is, it's an opportunity for you to learn what that is in the back of your head. That's the limiting belief, right? So if somebody says something to me, sometimes I'll feel it in my heart chakra or my solar plexus. I'll start to get a little boiling and then be like, that's my cue. So listen to your body, learn. If you don't feel things yet, a lot of people like don't feel their body, like they don't feel sensations. They just like, oh, I don't feel anything. I just get mad and I say something. No,
mhm.
you do. You just have to practice feeling it, right? That's your early warning signal. That is like stop and breathe. There's another lovely tool on our website. You can download it for free. It's called the Joy Regenerator. So this is how you do it. You feel that sensation, you breathe, or you like use like a grounding technique, feel your feet on the ground, or okay, what do I have? 5 things I see in the room, 4 things that I can hear, 3 things that I can touch, 2 that I can smell, 1 I can taste. Get yourself grounded, engage compassion. This is just a little me inside. Scared, anger is just scared, right? Everything is a call for love or show for love. So if you're not feeling the show of love, it's a call. So get curious. Oh, why am I feeling judged? Well, oh yeah, I know, because I got grounded if I didn't get straight A's. Nobody came to my games. I seek external validation. So am I really being judged? No, because I know it has nothing to do with me. If you feel like somebody's upset with you or something's going on, You don't like another great book. I love the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't make assumptions because we're terrible at them. Don't take anything personally because it's not about you anyway. It's about something inside of them, right? Be impeccable with your word. So watch your words, what you say. Only say what you want to be true and will make true, and do your best. So when you have those opportunities, get curious like, oh, okay, this is okay. I'm not feeling good, but that's fine because I'm healing and the other person is just healing. So let's get curious together. Why might I feel this way? What role did I play as a child or what happened to me growing up that makes me feel like this is anything less than perfect? And then it becomes exciting because then it's like a game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how the energy totally shift?
Totally. And for me, if something comes my way, I'll just say, well, what do I need to learn? Or what is something trying to
Yeah.
tell me? And I'll sit back and you can kind of see a bigger lens than this like narrow thing that you're dealing with. And you're like, well, okay, what am I going to, maybe I need to learn how to do this or whatever it is. But I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
find what works for you. Like for me,
Mm-hmm.
I feel this, and then I say choose. We forget we have choice. Like quite
Mm-hmm.
often we blame others. Oh, the kids made me yell. My husband made me mad. Blah, 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 blah. We give away our power. Don't give away your power. Keep your power and then choose the experience. What happens to you, those blockers or those opportunities, whatever you want to call them right now, we could experience the exact same thing and have a completely different meaning. So
Mm-hmm.
the things outside of you aren't what impact you, it's the meaning you give it. So that's why I say choose, because it reminds me, okay, I'm going to choose the meaning that I'm going to give to this. And just like you said, I'm going to choose to get curious about what might I learn from this? How might I grow? Because that's what life's all about. It's just about growth. Does that
Yeah.
answer your question?
Totally, totally. And beautifully said. I love the way you put that. So I'm just thinking of the listeners and if they really want to start on this work, what's one easy step that they can really take action with?
I think the easiest thing is there's so many. I'm going to post some on my website soon. I haven't done it yet, but there are so many free, wonderful guided meditations out
Mm.
there on YouTube. Anybody can
Yeah.
have them. And you're like, oh, I have time. Do it right before you go to bed. Most of the time, I meditate a lot, but one of them I do right before I go to bed. And if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. But guess what? My subconscious mind is still listening. So the easiest thing that you can do doesn't require any extra time, doesn't require any money, is just listen to a lovely guided meditation before you go to bed. Start there. And then from there, you're going to be like, okay, I want to do it in the morning too, because I want to put my attention on my intentions and I want to start my day off right. And then you might be like, oh, I got to have a nooner. And I'm not talking about the other kind of nooner. I'm talking about a meditation at noon. Like that's the easiest thing. I mean, there's so many things, but like that's going to be the most impactful. That's
Hmm.
accessible to everybody.
Yeah, I do so many meditations off of just YouTube. And if I want it like specific for manifestation, you just type that in. And it's like there's so many, you're right, free ones and different lengths. I do fall asleep when I meditate at night, so I tend to do it in the morning. However, I like that you said that your subconscious is still listening. So that's
Yeah.
interesting because I'm just like, okay, out.
Well,
And
and that's actually, people are like, oh, I don't know about this hypnosis business. It's kind of scary. I'm like, you're already in a social trance. Like you're in more of a trance than probably I can even put you in, right? In hypnosis, it's really just like a deep guided meditation because all we're doing is getting past the conscious mind and to the subconscious mind. And I teach people how to do self hypnosis. And it's really about getting into the alpha or the theta brave brainwave state.
Mhm.
And guess when you are closest to that?
When you go to sleep or wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Right before you go to sleep and then when you're going to sleep, right?
Hmm.
So it's a perfect way to do it
Yeah.
because then the guided meditation is kind of like a form of
Mm.
hypnosis, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Well, that just leads me into tell us a little bit more about where the listeners can find you and other things that you offer.
Sure, sure. So I'm on all the social media platforms. I live a lot on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. I try and do the threads thing but forget it, like the X or Twitter or whatever. There's so many. But Yvonne Marie Trost is my name. We're also as Unlock Limitless You or Limitless You. If you just want like free content, our podcast actually is pretty cool. It's called How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs, but you don't have to be an entrepreneur. It applies to everybody. And we have on people like you, like me, that are healers and or they've gone through major life transformation and they just want to pay it forward and help other people learn what they had to learn the hard way so they don't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, I mentioned our website, unlocklimitlessyou.com. And on there, you can, there's a free call. So if you take the self-love quiz or you download the Joy Regenerator, any of that stuff, or if you just like, oh my God, I listened to you and Lisa and I have some questions, I ask you what your magic wish is. And we'll talk at least for 30 minutes about what your magic wish is, right? And then if you are inspired and you want more subconscious safari guidance or more happiness coaching, then I'll give you some options. But there's really like easy, super free ways, and there's still easy live ways for us to connect.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so pleasant. I feel like I'm in a relaxed, calm state just even being around you and your energy. So I love that we align on so many levels. This has been so much fun.
It has been. And if I could just leave everybody with one thing, is don't wait. I was going to wait 7 to 10 years until my kids were out of college to make my change. And luckily, I had someone to help me with hypnotherapy, but it doesn't even take that. Just take small steps. Don't wait. Life's too short. And if you think you're waiting for the kids, not do them any favors. Because ask yourself, do you want them to not live their fullest life as their authentic self? Probably not. So they don't, Lisa, they're not listening to what you tell them. They're watching what you do.
Mhm.
So inspire them by doing what's best for you so they do what's best for them.
Yes, that is a perfect, beautiful message to end with. And I love that. Yes, don't wait, do it now. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, I don't know about you, but I was so inspired by Yvonne. And if you are looking to connect with her or want to check out some of those resources she mentioned in this episode, just click on the link in the show notes. And let's start with that actionable step that Yvonne mentioned, which is that simple meditation. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't take extra time. You can do it right before bed, which sounds like a perfect time. And until next week, keep carving out time for yourself. It makes a huge difference in how you are showing up for yourself, for your family, and for the world. And of course, don't forget to tune in next week where we'll have another episode with another incredible mom.